And I'm Danielle.
And this is Spiritually Awkward. Some woo woo, mostly wisdom. This is a podcast where we want to start people at the beginning. If they're just starting out on their spiritual journey or they want a different perspective, we wanted to create a space where people could learn and grow further. So, Danielle, let's get into why we're here and why we even feel like we can talk about this.
Absolutely. So I'm going to share a little bit about myself, how it all began, essentially. I would say, even from my earliest ages, that I was really interested and intrigued by psychic mediums on TV, maybe especially like Teresa Caputo, which is a Long Island medium. Just watching her effectively change so many lives was really special. I grew up Catholic. It definitely, there's some value there as far as maybe some morals and, be kind to people and that sort of thing. Being able to decipher what's for me and what's not was really important. And I feel like I had a great ability to learn that from a young age. I had a supportive family with that, at least. So I was lucky there, being able to create my own ideas and really believe in what I need to believe in for me. We all have our own ideas of what makes life work for us, but it's always important to be open to learning. So some things that kind of came across my childhood, seeing medicine cards, which was essentially an oracle card deck for the first time, and learning how to use that was a really special experience. And it kind of continued to just pique that little curiosity piece about, what's this world all about? What is this divination tools stuff? And it was really awesome to just continuously pull cards that were super on point, and it was a little eerie. So that was it kind of continued that excitement piece. And then some more spiritual awakening moments, which are not always fun, but right, yeah, they're not fun, but they really help you get perspective and remember where the track is and keep you on that track of life. So just some more stressful moments in life that when you can look at them from a less in the moment but more overall view, you can see that okay, there was purpose to that and there was a learning from that, and now I'm better than ever and grateful for them, even though they were really hard. Some really important book moments would be The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That one really helped me understand how to be in the moment now instead of focusing on the past or the future, instead of being in certain lower vibrational energy states, like things that affect everyone and that we tend to create a story around and really feel like we identify with, but we don't need to identify with. Help me kind of unpack some of that. So that was a pretty big step in part of who I am now. And then of course, Dolores Cannon and her books, especially the Convoluted Universe series, that really got me kind of diving headfirst into spirituality. So
I still need to read her books. I still haven't.
Yeah, definitely do. It's a fun rabbit hole, and I encourage you to do that. Yeah, so that's kind of just the basics about all the little mini points of how I got to where I am now. I'm an esthetician. I enjoy helping people every day just live their best lives if they feel so called to ask my advice. I really enjoy just letting spirit channel in a bit as well. It just kind of comes naturally.
Do you kind of, while you're doing your esthetician stuff, do you kind of mix your spirituality with it and offer?
Definitely. I didn't even realize I was doing it until more recently, as I've become a lot more purposefully conscious about it, that I was realizing I was already doing it. And now I offer it as a service more so. Hey, do you want to add on some cards in a reading to your service? Or do you want me to ask some questions for you, give some advice? And definitely it gets a little bit more consciously doing it instead of just the random thoughts that would pop in that I didn't realize were spirit before, or little random tidbits. So definitely, yeah.
It's always funny the random pop-ins from spirit that we completely ignored until you learned what it was.
Yeah, everyone gets them, and realizing that, okay, this is just how I receive them, and to be more realizing how subtle it really is really important. So tell us a little bit about you, Kaylee. How did you get to where you are?
So I am a psychic medium, a channeler for multidimensional beings. Yep. Yeah. I'm an energy healer and my soul is not from here. Some people like to call that a starseed. I just feel like maybe that term has been used in a way that makes it off-putting and it's not understandable as to what it is. Because when people hear starseed, they're like, oh my God, you think you're an alien? No, I don't. I just think that my soul did not originate here on this plane. There are a lot of people that are like me that kind of, they know. They just know that they essentially they've always felt like they were a fish out of water. Like this isn't the place that they originated from. It's strange. It's weird.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, people identify with the word starseed, but I feel like the connotation now is kind of garbled, essentially. And like some people have taken it to be they're better than everybody else here. That's not our point. We'll get into that later. So from a young age, like I said, like my soul is not from here. And so like from a young age, I never fit the standard of normal by society. I was a little weird. I definitely like to be alone and like go into deep contemplation. I would have to be dragged out of my solitude and forced to participate in things. But I was like, I just want to think about things real deeply. And I would have thoughts and dreams that didn't make any sense. That were like, where the hell did all that come from? And this is a 4 or 5 years old. Like these are the kind of things that like I'm thinking about. And the fact that I was violently aware of mortality as a child when I had never experienced it in my life. Like I knew that one day I was going to get old and then I was going to die and that like this experience would be over, and that freaked me out. And I'm too young to think about things like that. So it's all of these kind of pieces kind of got put together, and I would often talk about my past lives. There was one time where I was just hysterical and crying, and my mom's like, I don't know what to do for you. She's like, what is going on? And I was like, I miss my brother. I miss my brother James. I didn't have a brother. I didn't have a brother. So, and like I would describe him and I told her all about my brother James and like it that so she's like, what do I do with this kid? Is she crazy? Like what do I do with this child? And I feel like I did that a lot to my parents. They would be like, I don't know what's happening, because it's like one of my earliest memories, but I know I was willing to die on the hill that you could transplant my brain into a dolphin because we are the same species, we have the same connectivity, and you can put my brain into a dolphin body. And they're like, no, you can't detach your brain. And I was like, no, you can. You just have to connect the nerves. Like I went through this whole process and they're like,
How old were you?
I was like 3 or 4, I think. And I was convinced
Wow.
that you could put my brain into a dolphin body because we were the same species. We are very similar in.
Interesting.
So like my parents are like, I don't know what's happening right now.
Yeah. And so maybe it was a little hard because they weren't really able to support you and understand you at that point.
Right. And they would just I'm talking about technology that we don't have yet. And I probably freaked him out a whole lot. Like I would see things and I would tell them like, oh, there's somebody here, and they're like, why are you doing that? Because we all have that, our heart hits our butthole when our dog is staring into the corner and growling, right? We don't like.
Yeah, it's the natural fear factor.
Yes, exactly. And so I would see things and I would often have dreams, and this is where my story gets weird. So I would often have dreams of UFOs and talking to them. And like it wasn't until recently that I was like, oh my God, that makes entire sense.
Yeah.
And I would also like now I've come to understand that it's like astral projection. But when I was little, I would be falling asleep and I'd be almost to the point where I was asleep and my body would start vibrating. I could feel the body vibrating and then it would start rocking and then it'd vibrate and then it'd rock. And for a child, I don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Why does my body feel like this? And I would freak out because like it was at the point where I started feeling like I was coming apart from my body and I thought I was dying. And going back to that being violently aware of mortality, I was like, I didn't want to leave yet. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I would freak out,
Subconsciously.
and that happened often. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I would also like, so I knew from a young age too, that energy healing part, right? Like I knew that that's what I was here to do. When I was little, like my mom would get chronic migraines all of the time. And like one time I was like, I don't know what to do for you. So I was like, can I tell the headache to go away? And she's like, sure. Like, you know, like I'm like a 4-year-old kid just being like, let me put my hand on your head. And so
Wow.
I'd put my hand on her head and then it would go away. So she'd often have me come in and be like, can you fix my headache? And I'm just doing this
Hmm.
as a child. Do I know how
Interesting.
that any of that works? No, it wasn't until later in life when I became a certified Reiki practitioner, like that's what I was doing that entire time as like a child,
Interesting.
like crazy.
That brings back some
Um,
memories for me too, actually. Kind of something
yeah,
similar in my childhood. So that's very mind-blowing. Yeah. Like just not necessarily curing things, but like getting into a meditative state as a child, like trying to help your parent feel better. Like I was doing, I think it was like a shoulder massage or something for my mom or my dad. I can't really remember, maybe both. And just like visualizing the tension leaving their body. And I was pretty young to even do that. So that's very interesting.
I'm curious to see how many people out there have had that experience of where
Yeah.
they like intuitively,
Tapped
like
into energy.
consciously thought about energy to help someone, to heal someone. Like I'm very curious
Yeah.
as to see that.
Yeah. So let us know. That sounds
Yeah,
really interesting.
we have an email us, let us know.
Yeah.
Um, but also I think too, like another facet of it, like so we've got this like spirituality, like we're almost dipping into the light and love. And then for me, it's like we've got the UFOs, the multidimensional beings. But then like in the middle of that, right, is the earth magic for me.
Mm.
Because my mom started dabbling in that kind of stuff when I was little, and I took real interest in it. Like the fact that you could think about things and do this thing and then this thing would happen, like I loved learning that.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of intuitively knew what you would do or what you would say, or just, you know, I was telling my mom, I think you should use this colored candle. Use this color of cord.
Just so tapped in.
5 or 6, right?
Mhm.
This is like my early childhood. It's
Wow.
my life has been crazy, but it's all led up to here.
Yeah.
Right, like all of these experiences, these things I've gone through, like have led me up to, like you were saying, these awakenings. Yeah, and it usually happened after some really serious
Yeah.
tower moments.
Traumatic.
Yeah, and that's where
Will you?
this growth and it stacks upon each
Yeah.
other, and then you just keep getting
Can you
up
explain a
until,
tower moment for everyone? What that
yeah.
means?
So
Mhm.
so tower moments, we're it's called that collectively because like when you are looking at tarot, right, and you pull the tower card, you are seeing something crumbling down to its foundation. These suck entirely at the time that you're going through it, but the opportunity to rebuild afterwards, you know, what didn't work, what you don't want to see again,
Yeah.
what you've learned. So you get to build from the foundation up. So, like, tower
Hmm.
moments are a love hate relationship
Yeah.
with me. Like,
And you
they're
get to
necessary for growth. but
Yeah.
gosh damn.
You get to be who you really want to be at that starting point again. You get to start
Yeah.
over, essentially.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. That's exactly, yes.
And
That's exactly
releasing
why I like them.
old
You get to
patterns.
reinvent. Yeah, you get
Yeah.
to reinvent
Hmm.
entirely and become a new person. And that's amazing.
It is. It sucks at the time, but it's amazing after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after so many tower moments in my life, I still don't have my shit together. I like to think I do sometimes, or I'm getting close to.
Yeah.
We're working on it. We're a work in progress. So
Always.
back when the world stood still, we all remember that time.
Hmm.
That's when a lot of people started waking up and looking around and being like, what the hell is going on? What is this? What is my life? Like, we were so busy distracted by everything that was going on that we just kind of we were completely unaware of everything. And then we started to question and look around us. Like we had been watching our feet walking through life, and then all of a sudden we were like looking up and we're like, wow, these are some pretty trees.
Yeah.
Where have this been the entire time? That's when I really leaned into it. Because before then I was kind of just like, oh, that's neat. That's cool. Sometimes I just kind of know things, pulling out of thin air the answer for somebody. But I was like, it must just be because I'm real smart.
You are, but that's maybe not quite the only thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like those little things, those little hits, those little nuggets were spirit the entire time. Like we were talking about, like those subtle things that like we don't often pay attention to or we ignore. We just write it off as something else. Like, oh, that was just my conscience. Or like we would say guardian angel. And I mean, it's kind of the same thing. We'll get into that also later.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but then so I started leaning into that at that time, that that real spiritual awakening. That like, is there a possibility that there's something more than what I'm seeing right now and what I've been told? And yeah, the answer is yes.
Hmm.
Then it was like I've been working on my intuition, my psychic mediumship, and I've been working on my energy healing. And it was last summer that I was actually doing a podcast that somebody had said something and it just literally just hit me in the head. And I was like, what the hell? I was there. So I started asking questions and I was just throwing the questions out there. What I was getting back was from multidimensional beings. And when that whole thing started, my God, we'll get into that also at a later date, but I'm just telling you like the
Yeah.
intensity of what happens when you start channeling a multidimensional being
Mm. So
knocks you on your ass.
when you say you were there, can you explain that? What do you mean by that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they were recalling a past life memory.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um,
And you were in all of a sudden you were like there at the past life.
yeah.
Chat like in it.
Yeah. And I was like, why do I remember this so vividly? And I remember hearing because you were there. And I was like,
Oh,
wait, hold on.
I see.
What? And so I started asking questions and kept being like, what do you mean I was there? Like, was I in a life with this person? Was I in the, and yeah, the answer is yes. And then the answer has been, yeah, many times you've been in the life with this person. And it's actually like two of the closest people to me right now because we have traveled over and over and over again in circles, in groups, so that we would always meet up and we would always be there. So yeah, so then I started channeling multidimensional beings, and like the answers that I got literally broke my brain. They literally broke my brain because here I am with limited human knowledge, thinking that I was grasping an understanding of what was actually going on in the world and reality. And I was wrong. I was humbled entirely. But somehow it just makes sense. Learning to get over what you have been told already,
Mhm.
which is it's been a theme for me because like you said, you grew up Catholic, I grew up LDS.
Yeah.
And like the deprogramming that I had to do in order to be right with myself and learn who I am without guilt or shame is crazy. Like that's an entire reprogramming in itself. And now I have come so far in this that I want to help others
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
feel to feel this. Like I want to help others recognize this because when I looked up from my feet and saw everything for the first time the way it should be, I want people to experience that. And so when we talked about this podcast and like going into it and helping people learn like step by step slowly is really genuinely what made me so excited about it because I want people to know that. I want people to know the feeling of being able to discover themselves and the world and the universe and reality. I want that for people. So
Absolutely. If this podcast can help one person just by us sharing how we got here and the steps we had to take to deprogram to understand our truth and help one person improve their life, that would be amazing. So our goal is to like help as many people as we can, right?
Yep.
Disconnect from a little bit of the 3D and understand a little more about what's out there, what they can possibly achieve in this life for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And so during that this whole time, I took some classes and became able to teach people how to use their gifts. And I will also die on this hill. Everyone has the ability to connect to spirit, to be a psychic, to be a medium, and you cannot convince me otherwise. So I got really excited about the opportunity to be able to teach people that they have that connection because I mean, my truth is my truth. Your truth is your truth. Everyone has their own truth and it is all correct. And that's kind of impossible to wrap your head around, but it's all correct.
Yep.
Everybody's truth is correct because you are a singular piece of the universe experiencing itself from your exact perspective.
Yeah.
So your truth is truth. And it's not going to look like everybody else's, but that's fine. As long as you feel it.
Yeah. Start trusting yourself.
Yeah. And so like I wanted to be able to help people learn how to tap in, how to connect, get the greater understanding, get the greater knowledge, learn about themselves. Because if anything, this entire thing for me has been learning who I am as a being.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. As more than you are in the current body, but what you're connected to.
Yeah. And I want people to experience that too, because it's not, I think one of the most profound things for me during, so they're called gift focus sessions. And one of the most profound things for me was the experience of unconditional love that had no attachments, that had nothing demanded of it. It was just given to me because I exist. And I want everyone to feel that.
Yeah.
I want everyone to know what that feels like because that is the fabric of the universe. That is what is out there.
Yeah.
So
what we're all made of.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That is the ultimate signature of the universe, is that unconditional love. And so helping people realize that, for me, is the ultimate goal, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Good life
There's my
hack.
little soapbox. I started tearing up because I do every damn time. I'm a sympathetic crier. Like I am, like it's so bad.
It just is.
It just is. I just feel things
Mhm.
real deep.
The empath's there.
Yeah. The empath, the empathin.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So I know that you've done like a focus session, not necessarily with me, but so how did that go for you?
It was definitely a little shocking. I kind of went in a little unsure, and I didn't even realize that the subtlety of intuitive hits that I was already receiving, and it was my more just relaxing into it. So I think I was nervous at first, and then the more I relaxed, the more information came. And it just everyone receives information differently, but it's just trusting that you're not making it up. You know, these informations that come through, it's not just your mind rambling on, it's little nuggets of information. And trust, the more you practice, the more you trust yourself. It's like no one else can tell you your experience. So leaning into your experience and being in the moment, it was really life-changing for me. I knew a few years before that I took the quantum healing hypnosis course, and that really got me super excited again, I'd say, like just about existing. Like I was really excited to offer that for people, and it was just like mind-blowing the experiences people were having in hypnosis, going into past lives on other planets, as other entities, as creation itself. Like just the list goes on, and it's very out there. So we can definitely save that for another day. But just the little spark happened. And then I took the gift focus session, and it was just like, okay, wow, maybe I do have abilities. Maybe everyone does. And it helped me deprogram that as well, that thinking that like you have to be special to have abilities, but you don't. That's the whole topic of Starseed too. Like it's not, you're not special. We're all special. Help your shine come out is what's important. Help other people learn to shine is what's important. Don't be the only shiner. Help everyone shine. So
Exactly.
that was the big moments for me for sure. And so it led me to opening up my realization of like what I was already doing and how much more I could be doing is what I kind of got out of the gift focus session. So it's definitely a life-changing thing. And even if you're not wanting to do that for other people, like if, you know, to our listeners, like if you're not really interested in doing readings for people, that's fine. But you should be interested in gaining the knowledge for yourself and how you can be more in tune with yourself. And that means going inward. So gift focus sessions are life-changing for anyone. It just helps you be more connected to what you should be doing. You can lean on them for any kind of question. What should I have for dinner? Anything, anything is possible. So it's really, it takes the pressure off from like needing to make decisions. Like you can lean on that and it's going inward. It's just so empowering. I truly I can't
Yeah, it
recommend it
really is.
enough. I can't recommend it enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it really is. Like I every day, should I take the freeway or should I just keep going straight? What's the traffic like? Like
Yeah.
this is everyday stuff. I'm like, I even do it to like, is this person telling the truth?
Hmm.
I do that
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
But you'll start to like doing that kind of stuff, you'll start to like automatically know what the feeling is like
Hmm.
when someone's not telling the truth or when it's half truth.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. This is why I was so excited to partner with you two in doing this because we we're on the same path, we just have different experiences of it.
Yep.
And I really think that like we giving different perspectives of the same topic is kind of really important too because I mean somebody listening might be like I really connect with what Danielle is saying, and then somebody might be like I really connect with what Kaylee is saying.
Yep.
we're we're helping more people at once by offering different perspectives. And like if there's one piece of advice that I could give everybody, it is perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. Because you could have a situation and look at it 10 different ways and be able to understand it more. And that's why having that connection to help you see those perspectives has been life-changing for me, honestly, because believe it or not, I used to be a ball of rage all of the time.
Yeah.
And I used to get pissed off at people, but now it's kind of like I mean, it's a work in progress. I'm not saying that it's easy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a work in progress to reprogram your brain to stop looking at things one way.
But you notice it right away now, right? It's
Yeah, so like I noticed,
the
and then
rage
I
is
like,
there.
yeah, and I take that moment to be like, why am I so pissed?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why does this even matter?
Why am I triggered?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is this? What is this bringing up for me? And
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, so we are recording this episode at the tail end of an eclipse during a Mercury retrograde, going to be followed up by a Chiron, going to be, it was, what is it, Saturn Uranus conjunction. Like, we are recording this in a time where, like, we have literally been energetically smashed to the floor.
Yeah. If we're talking astrology, which we will have an episode for, essentially the energies of now is like a full rebirth, like from the lunar eclipse, moving through Mercury retrograde, April Fool's Day, April 8th, solar eclipse, like a lot of energy changes have been happening. So we're definitely feeling the reset right now. What a perfect time to reset and start the podcast.
Start a podcast. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, it's perfect timing because we were actually supposed to start last week, but then like
Yeah, it just wasn't meant to be.
Shit hit the fan, and I'm like, I need a hermit mode. I need to not be around people.
Yeah, you need
I
to
need to
go
think about
inward.
Going back to that, like the kid who just liked to be by themselves, deeply contemplating things. That's where I needed to be.
Yeah. And you just took the time you needed, right?
Yeah.
Don't just
Yeah.
power through, listen to your body. It's a very important thing too, which we will definitely go more into.
Yes, the mind-body connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to thank everybody for listening to our first episode and hanging out with us thus far. We're excited to go forward and excited to introduce our topics and to teach people so that they can learn things too. And I don't know, we're going to see. We're going to see. We're just going.
And if you guys
thoughts, just vibes.
Yeah, no thoughts, just vibes. If you guys have any topic ideas that you really want to make sure we touch on that have sparked your interest, even from us talking now, or if you're just curious if we'll touch on stuff, please send us an email and we'd be happy to look into that. We're taking requests for spiritual topics.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And our next episode, if you want to join us for number 2, is going to be all about spirituality and what does it even mean? All the different facets of humanity and how spirituality has evolved. Come check us out then.
Yeah.
This has been episode 1 of Spiritually Awkward. Some woo-woo, mostly wisdom.
Yep.